What's going on, boys and girls? It's Friday night, December the 20th, 2019. Just 4 more shopping days. Well, 5, I guess, if you count Christmas Day, to get your Christmas shopping done. Now, if you're like me, you don't do Christmas shopping. I don't do the shopping thing. I figure out what I'm getting and I go get it. That ain't shopping, that's getting. And I got some getting to do this weekend. Speaking of some getting to do, the Tennessee Vols have some getting to do on January 2nd at 7 p.m. Excuse me. Against the Indiana Hoosiers. Indiana Hoosiers. And by the way, going with the Casey Clausen look with the hair tonight, just to give you guys something to talk about, especially you Indiana fans. I'm saving the Indiana fans the trouble of doing the whole, oh, look, it's the toothless, inbred hillbilly shit. At least this way you have hair you can make fun of. I'm fat, you can make fun of that. I've got a southern accent. I'm trying to help you guys with some of the stereotypes that you may not be aware of about Southerners in Indiana, because let's face it, Indiana is really just a poor man's southern state. I mean, there's just as many rednecks, hillbillies, and inbreds there as there are in East Tennessee or anywhere else in the South. But come January the 2nd, at the Gator Bowl in Jacksonville, it'll be the only game in town that night. All of the eyes of the nation will be watching the best bowl game of the season. And the reason it's the best bowl game of the season is because Tennessee's in it. I mean, come on. All of the college football world has just been clamoring for Tennessee to get back to a bowl game. They have their wish. Tennessee's back, and it's at at the hands, we could say, of the Big Ten. The sacrificial Big Ten lamb for this game is the Indiana Hoosiers, who've had a good year, by the way. Now, the last time these two teams played was 1988. Tennessee put a whooping on them in a bowl game. Even heard their athletic director in his initial Gator Bowl press conference talk about getting redemption for that game. Redemption? Really? For a game that was 31 years ago? I mean, is Indiana football that bad? Yeah, well, I guess it is. I think they've been to... Don't quote me on this. I thought I heard this somewhere. 3 New Year's Day or New Year's bowl games, past New Year's, 3, 5. I don't know. They've been to 3 some kind of bowl games, and I think this may be their first Florida bowl game. Again, you Hoosier people can correct me on that, which I'm sure you will. I just didn't feel like doing all the research on this game because, quite frankly, if you just look at these two teams by name, nobody gives a shit about Indiana football. They don't. Indiana is a basketball school, period. Who do you think of when you think of Indiana? Bobby Knight. What's Indiana's Bobby Knight famous for? Slinging the chair across the floor, being a legendary, great Indiana Hoosier basketball coach, and that's what he is. And Bobby's probably going to be slinging some shit the second if he watches this game. Real quick, Indiana 8-4. They lost to Ohio State. Surprise, surprise. Got it beat down in that game, 51-10. Let's see, who else did they lose to? They lost to Michigan State, 40-31. They squeaked by a terrible Maryland team, 34-28. Squeaked by a pretty bad Nebraska team, 38-31. Gave Penn State a pretty good run for their money, lost 34-27, and got drilled by Michigan, 39-14. And of course, they won their rivalry game against Purdue in overtime, 44-41. Didn't see the game. I would imagine it was a pretty exciting game. Rivalry games always are. And Indiana likes to throw the ball all over the field. They're going to run into a bit of a stumbling block on the second because Tennessee's defense has clamped it down. No surprise that Tennessee is in a bowl game, really, but it is a surprise how we got there. Started the season 0-2. Do I really need to rehash this? I'll do it just for the Indiana people that may not know what kind of year we had, that haven't done the research. We lost to Georgia State. An embarrassing loss in the first game of the year, 38-30, and honestly it wasn't even that close. We got a late garbage touchdown to close the final margin. Second game against the Mormons, we had BYU on the ropes. We had them beat. We were beating them all day, except for the last 16 seconds. Not going into the details, but BYU caught us off guard, got behind us, scored a late touchdown, sent the game to overtime, and won the damn thing 29-26 in overtime. Other losses, we got drilled by Florida in Gainesville. We got beat up pretty bad by Georgia 43-14, although the score is a lot worse looking than the game actually was, but it's a loss. A loss is a loss is a loss. And we got beat by Alabama, same type scenario, 35-13, but all Tennessee fans know what happened there. Indiana fans just look at these scores, they'll go, okay, beat down by Bama, beat down by Georgia, beat down by Florida. Surprise. Not the way it went down. But anyway, Tennessee wins their last 5 games of the year. They start the year 2-5. A lot of us are thinking, man, we may not make a damn bowl this year. 5 in a row. Granted, these aren't 5 great teams that Tennessee beat in a row, but Kentucky was one of those teams, and Kentucky had a pretty good year given the fact that their quarterback got hurt and they played with a receiver at quarterback all year. Kentucky still finished 7-5. I heard a stat today. Kentucky in the last 10 years has won more football games than Michigan State and Nebraska and Texas. And there's one other school in there, and I can't remember who the hell it was. But it was another big name, traditionally rich Power 5 program. Can't remember who it was. So beating Kentucky was a good win. Beating all these guys were good wins for Tennessee, just the way they turned it around. So here we are, January 2nd, Gator Bowl, Jacksonville, Florida, Tennessee, Indiana. We're kicking your ass, Hoosiers, okay? We're just going. We're going. We got to have this game. You guys, you're more concerned about basketball. Basketball season's here. Have fun with your basketball team. I have no clue whether you guys are any good or not, or as we say around here, any count or not in basketball. We're okay this year. So, go Vols, screw y'alls, and for you Indiana fans that don't know what that means, pretty self-explanatory. Go Vols, screw the rest of you guys. It's all about the large orange. Now, I'll make another video in the coming weeks, maybe getting into this game a little bit more about why I think Tennessee will win, other than the fact that we're prettier, we have better uniforms, we have a bigger fan base, we have better history and tradition, although history and tradition have never won a single football game, and all of that shit does not matter on January 2nd. It's 8-4 versus 7-5. It's the Hoosiers versus the Volunteers, and I'm saying right now Tennessee wins this game 41-30. And I'll see you guys here shortly. You're going down, Hoosiers. Bank on it.